Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Susan Lay. This is Technically Speaking, and I'm moving on further in our journey into the dark triad, the cluster B personalities, the narcissist, sociopath, psychopath, or just mental health on a whole, and quit with the labels because let's just say it's crazy. I believe it's very important that we understand mental health as a whole in America. I've seen some recent news reports. I haven't looked at it statistically, but our mental health is a sad situation in the way it's being handled. And what's got my attention is I think I encounter at least some kind of a situation in a daily occurrence because I'm out with people a lot. I work in offices. Nevertheless, here I want to share with you what I've learned. We can do a crash course, but I'm going to use a buzzword. It's called scapegoat. You are a child in a dynamic family system, and if something's wrong, if another family member needs to talk about somebody else, if somebody needs to blame somebody else even though they hadn't done anything, that would be the scapegoat. Everybody's pointing to the scapegoat. The scapegoat can't think right, act right, do right, and what that invariably does to that child is make them feel shameful, like there's something wrong with them, guilty. Guilt's a big tactic. And if parents are using this against their child in a repeated manner, that is abuse. So what this abuse does to a scapegoat is turns into rebelliousness as a teenager. And then it can morph into intimate relationship issues as an adult. So speaking with a child scapegoatee, moi, I've done a lot of healing in the last couple of years. I still continue on a daily basis at putting emotions to where they belong and dealing with the ones that come up as they occur. So getting real with myself, getting real with the world. And that's probably your dysfunctional folks' worst nightmare. And this is what I've learned so far. I'll just take you on my journey here. Now, as of late, I have looked at mental health as a whole. If you need to go back about all the narcissistic flags and such, you can look at previous videos. I may get into a little bit of it here, but nevertheless, mental health as a whole in the United States not being handled very well. We have something slide off the scale daily somewhere. We don't hear about it all the time. If you watch news or looked at local news in various places, you're going to find some variation of life in jeopardy, whether it be in their thought life or physical life. Life is in jeopardy. Families are in jeopardy. And if we don't get a hold of what's happening here, we're going to leave a future to children that are being raised in a dysfunctional situation to the entirety. It's just going to get worse unless we get real. All right, so I'm going to bring a bit of realism to it. There was I'm not going to use his name because he doesn't deserve any kind of notoriety, because he murdered his pregnant wife and his 2 daughters in the state of Colorado back in August. And Dr. Phil is doing segments on him now, but this is a person that was raised in a family dynamic that caused great shame, and he resulted in a psychopath. Now, this is a killing psychopath. Psychopaths are amongst us every day, not to scare you, but to give you a dose of real here. They're around us every day. Not all of them kill. So let's talk about basic nature, basic needs, basic human instinct. These are the ones that going in for the kill. They are very dynamic people, boisterous. They're very smart. They're clever. they do believe that they're smarter than the rest of the world. Some of them measure out to be that way. Some of them not so much. And long story short, none of us make it unless we're safe. And it's not a game of baseball where you can tag home and be safe. You have to look out for individuals you let into your life. You have to look out for individuals around your life, or around your family's life, or around your loved one's life. And the dark triad people exist, and they are around. Now, I don't want to offend anybody with any religious beliefs or spiritual backgrounds that look for the protection through there, which I too am Christian, so I get that. What I do want to make you aware is that we weren't put here just to be docile people, to be mowed over by a bunch of crazy asses, okay? So that's as plain as I can put it. What being a scapegoat invariably does to a person is it puts you into a giving nature. You are giving so much to, and psychology world says to gain acceptance. I found myself giving so much just to keep the peace. Didn't want bullshit. Didn't want anything, drama. Just keep the damn drama away. Here, take this now and go away. It's like, it's like raising a bunch of little kids. Here you go, take your lollipop and go about your business. And it's the mother nurturers kind of thing that comes up in us. We nurture. And with your nurturing side is the love side. So we'll kind of trickle off into that just a little bit, not a whole lot. But what that giving nature does is it starts stirring up these feelings of codependency, meaning, oh, well, you're not going to be able to rest easy, be easy until this person's taken care of, or that happens with that person. Or so you're actually looking for your time out, your break after you've done all this shit for this person, so they'll be content enough for you to take a breather. All right, and it can get into worse. That can go and morph into something really worse, to where you're actually a slave. And a lot of the family dynamics that I've seen growing up in America is where the wife is the slave to the man. That's what the household I was raised in. I saw it in my friends' households where she was, you call it a domestic goddess, you call it whatever you want, but it's like Cinderella and her stepsisters. She's scrubbing and they're, with the whip. So there you go. That's the scenario that's happening. So what that does to a person's thinking, even though you got a grasp of, oh, how do I survive this? What is the best route for me through this? And you're going to start holding back. You're not going to be so relatable to people because they're going to want something from you. That seems to be, everybody came to me with their hands out. I'm thinking, go fill them up somewhere else, except when it came to my kids. But nevertheless, it comes in and starts screwing with your ideas of what's real and what's not, what's reality and what isn't. You're living a meager existence in hopes that you don't get a bunch of shit shows in a day from disordered people wanting crap from you. So you have to stand up for yourself. You just do. You have to get some backbone. You have to tell people to fuck off. You have to say no and mean it, and don't offer any explanation behind the no. Just say no. As you get more comfortable with yourself, you can say no, thank you, and then go fuck yourself. But I was kidding. Okay, so yes, you can have the power within yourself to say what is allowed into my life and what is not. Now, this is where the big screw up comes. You grow up and you start getting into intimate relationships. And you're not sure how that dynamic actually works. You've not seen a successful one yet. I don't think there's a whole lot of them in America, and maybe it's better in other countries. I haven't looked at those stats either, but just in my short time here on this planet, family life's been a shit show. Let's get real. And everybody goes, oh, well, it's family. No, it doesn't make it okay because it's family. It's not. If it's not okay, it's not okay. Reality. Let's be real. So, whatever the situation is, you call it for what it is, and then you decide as an adult what's allowed and what's not allowed. The trouble with that is that you have these other folks in the world, I guess I'll give them folks, that capitalize on people's strengths and looks for vulnerabilities in the cracks, or there's a certain qualification mechanism that is in this little checklist of these diabolical thinkers that want to infiltrate your life, take over your life, take your soul, take your things, mind, body, and soul. They want it all. And from my understanding, that this kind of thinking comes from envy. It's also that they had a really screwed up upbringing too. But mainly the reason why they carry it on into adulthood and they can't get over themselves is the envy part. How did they get to go out and go get a job and get these things and have that stuff and those people around them and have that kind of life? So they'll weed their way in to having that life with, around you or said people, so they can enjoy the finer things in life, or even just a sustainable life, without having to do anything except manipulate and control somebody. That's all they had to do. And then make everybody that they're manipulating and controlling that they're wonderful for doing it. So it's a bunch of trickery going on. So this is why I'm bringing out this video. The trickery is with this wife in Colorado and two beautiful daughters and a son on the way being murdered by the one that she slept with in the bed. I'm not even sure how long they were together, married to, gave her life to, devoted her family to. Didn't get to see the light of day August 13th, I think. And neither did her daughters. Just snapped one night. Possibly premeditated. They're all sorting out the gory details, but the bottom line is there's red flags that tell you when something is terribly wrong. There are deal breakers that tell you when something is terribly wrong, and everyone needs to come to grips with themselves, pull up the bootstraps and say, this is okay in my life and this is not okay in my life. I don't care if you're married. I don't care if you've known each other for 50 years. I don't care what relationship they have to you. If you want to survive, if you want to ensure your safety, you have got to incorporate these thresholds in your life that people do not cross, these gates. And so the everything will be fine doesn't work. It's not going to work anymore. The mental health system is so freaking out of control and being denied that there's ever even a problem that exists, is infiltrating good, common people every day, having to fight for every measure that they get throughout the day. And if you choose to ignore it, it will creep up on you. If you don't have a steady stance moving forward and purposeful gait about you, then they're going to find your weakness. They're going to find the vulnerable spot. So, I beg you to start praying for the mental health in this country. So, I got through the real and what's illusion. Oh, well, illusionary thinking is everything's going to be okay once you settle this. Everything's going to be okay once you settle that. That didn't work. You can go around and settle the whole planet. But if you don't settle these boundaries for yourself and not letting these disordered thinking individuals into your life, you're going to be tied up doing something else instead of the important thing that you should be addressing. That's exactly, they're just but they're to steal your time, steal your things, steal your health, steal whatever they get their hands on, kill, as this man did to his family, and destroy, as that man did to his family. Well, I think he stole their lives, he killed them and destroyed them. That's all it's there. They're there. That's all they're about. That's it. That's their purpose. Okay. Hard to think that way, but it is true. So, seriously, what's made these folks start looking for viable candidates to feed on? Your supply to these people. It's a game. It's like they're hunting you. They're hunters. They're hunting you. So, let's look. As a child, if you've been brought up as a scapegoat, you were groomed very, very well to allow these people into your life. As growing up, you were told that your feelings didn't matter. You were never able to let anybody know your natural state of affairs. You always had to be on guard. You weren't able to show emotion. You're a crybaby. Oh, you're just sensitive. Well, go on to the other room until you can come out with a better face. And that's a sense of abandonment. There's a lot of little different things from a human nature standpoint that were implanted into a scapegoat child that you carry on into adulthood. So clinically, they talk about it's being your hypothalamus has been hijacked. Your amygdala has been hijacked. This is where you start losing your reality as to what's safe and what's not. Same thing that happened to this wife of this situation up in Colorado. What's safe and what's not. Where were those red flags? Where were those deal breakers? You just can't say, oh, he'll feel better tomorrow, or it'll get better, or that's a one-off. Some of these things are not that. They are prevalent, they're predominant, and they're in the face every day. So, mental health as a whole, I keep going back to that because I'm just talking about this one dramatic instance. I'm going to bring up another dramatic instance, see how we got here. Let's take a little walk down memory lane, shall we? This started here in America, and I could say that it went on a little more than what we knew previously, but let's start where I knew to pick up, okay? When they removed prayer out of our schools, and I'm talking about focusing on the children because that's what our world will be like with these children growing up, okay? Religion in the school. They took prayer out of the schools. And here's an example of just brought up recently. Now, of course, we had Ash Wednesday this last week. And now we're into Lent. And I already failed because I ate my piece of candy. But nevertheless, here's a little boy that was raised in the home where they practice a ritualistic Christian practices, and I believe it's Catholic. I know we all have so many variations, right? That take the ashes and draw the cross on the head. Well, he had done that before he had started eating his lunch, and a teacher called him down on it. Well, when he got home, he was shamed. Let's just call it for what it was. She told him he had to wipe the cross off his head. He can't be doing that at school. And so he was shamed, a 4-year-old shamed. And nevertheless, that raised hell up at home, and home calls the principal calls out the teacher, and it was wrong. It was just flat wrong. We have the Second Amendment here in the United States, freedom of religion. So, I was totally wrong. So, prayer out of the schools, I think, is an initial thing as to where it actually is an example and a model shown from one child to the next that I follow a practice. I have boundaries. There's a beginning and an end to me here. These are my ideas. These are my principles, even if they are a derivative off the family life. There's there's sustenance there. There's substance right now. That's all. It's an anything goes. It's an anything goes situation. You can't have anything that goes. If you want to survive, you got to have some safety. There's no safety net there, which the woman and the 2 children that lost their lives to the hand of the psychopath obviously had their safety measures brought down to where they felt safe to let this perpetrator in and around them continually. So, on to with the prayer of the schools. We're promoting that every individual means something. It's an individualistic. So whatever wild hair idea I come up with today is not only okay with me that I do it and flaunt it, no matter what it is. I need you to accept it too. You have to be okay with it too. So let me lower your standards, your ideas, and your principles about the way things should rock and roll. And that gives me more free range to come in and screw up anything that you have going. So, what this does is it's boundary breaking. I'm going to give a couple examples here of boundary breaking. First of all, any mother, and this lady loved her children and loved the child that was growing inside of her. She was a good mother. I don't say that just because of any type of propagandic news reports. You can tell. I mean, from a mother to a mother, you could tell she was a good mother. Those were happy girls. And she was concerned about, their needs being met and so forth. I said all that to say that their safety measures were lowered. Their nets were lowered for a horrific incident like this to occur. Had she had some indicator, and I think she did in a friend. There was a friend there that was very concerned for her. But if she had some kind of panic button, I think everybody needs a panic button. I want an easy button, make it easy. But everybody else needs a panic button. There's some other people who could use an easy button, but panic button. And I kind of jest here and there in a serious situation because I believe that it's serious. Otherwise, I wouldn't be on here talking to you. Secondly, I try to keep it just light enough to where it's palatable. So, boundary breaking. Her boundaries were broke. Result. Child, we're doing it to our children every day. We're breaking their boundaries every day. I'm always hearing of stories where decisions are put in the hands of the child, and it's an adult decision. Not, will it be all right if I do this for you? Now, how's a child to totally understand all the dynamics in place to make solid decisions as to whether something coming at them would be to their betterment or not? Now, that's where the parents come in, and this is where we're lacking desperately, or the lines of authority have been blurred. I'm not sure exactly how it came to this state of affairs. I kind of know through the school aspect how it happened, and I guess it's just kind of infiltrated back into the home. But here's my stab at it, okay? Bad parenting. If anybody is lacking in parenting, which we all do from time and again, but I think the majority, I'd like to think, here's my malignant thinking, I would like to think that most parents that have children will like to get up and do the right thing for their children for their life. That said, there are some parents that get up that day and think their child is their buddy. And children are not parents' buddies. They're not your friend. You're their parent, and they're looking to you for guidance. And you're needing to teach them what's right from wrong. Not to go, hey, I love this. Come and enjoy it with me. That's not what it's about. It's not a friend. What you do is you got to parent. You got to make sure they have clothes, food, development, social interaction. You well-round this child to become a well-rounded adult. That's the goal. And you do whatever you need to do as a parent to ensure that those needs are being met. That includes going up to school and going, are you going to have 900 questions for my child today as to what decisions they need to make? Because let me tell you what those decisions are right now. I'm their parent. Don't be asking my child whether they need this, that, or the other. You come to me for my child's needs. I will supply them. My child does not have the grown brain that we have to make valid decisions. So quit giving power to the child. They don't know. Now here's an instance where a child does need power. If they're in an abusive situation or they need help, they need the panic button, just like an adult would in a dire situation. We're talking about safety here. Okay, so I'm on to, we don't give children adult matters to think about, to make decisions over, or any information on. That's not what they're here for. If you as an adult are a parent and you need somebody to bounce that off of, call somebody else, but don't do it to your children. Please, for the love of God, don't. Alright, so I'm going to go on to authority breaking. So let's look at that situation where the child did the ashes and prayed before, and the cross, and prayed before his meal, okay? The right approach would have been the teacher talking to the parent. Or if she had a question about it, that she take the child and her to the principal's office. You don't call the child down in front of a bunch of people. You don't ever shame somebody like that. That is so wrong. I don't care in what situation it is. You take them off and you go and correct it. You don't do it in front of people. Authority. I just talked to you about a whole circle of life situations there. And these folks are growing up and grown up and have grown up. Well, I think I'm kind of grown up. But anyway, what I'm saying that is that they're getting into positions of power. So folks are raised in less than ideal situations, or they are raised in dysfunction, and they're getting, let's just say a psychopath is getting into an authority position. So they're using the scapegoat methods. They're using the golden child methods. They're using all these methods that people have been groomed for. So let's think outside the box, okay? Let's just talk about a couple of things going on in America. Mexicans coming in illegally. I would like to call it an invasion because I see more Mexican folks hanging out and living around in my neck of the woods more than I ever have in my life. I don't know that we became that more attractive, or if it's just that it's just a deal now and nobody's ever done anything about it. I would think it's the latter. Nobody's ever done anything about it. And let's face it too, everybody wants the United States involved in their affairs. They either want to live here or they want us to know about it or help them with it. Like we're the big parent country of the planet when we can't even parent our kids. And if we can't parent our kids can't occupy positions with good thinking. It's pretty simple. Follow the dots. Alright, so another thing is our country was raised on Christian values. I know I'll get a lot of people that'll probably argue that point. But irregardless, just look at our money and God we trust. Here we go. That's something similar. At least we can think that there's a higher power than us. Everybody needs to think that there's a higher power than us. Okay? Alright. If you're healthy thinking. Mexican invasion, our first bout of having Muslims in Congress. I've never witnessed in my life of somebody taking a position in Congress or in government and getting sworn in on the Holy Bible. They don't get sworn in on the Holy Bible. That's different. And I don't know if it's actually the way we need to be running things. I mean, what do we got going on there? Seriously. All we've been preached at is about how all the fanatics come out of the ISIS and the Muslims, and now we want them in Congress? Really? And we're supposed to sit back and go, oh, I guess that's okay. Because you've been desensitized to it since you were a kid. Alright. I said all that to say this. The system is breaking. The system doesn't work on a lot of different fronts. Education is lacking. I don't believe that kids graduate our high schools with the knowledge base that they did when I graduated high schools. I'm not saying that they're not smarter. I'm saying they don't have the education base. There's a big difference. The medical system's lacking. We have the best minds. Why can't we figure this shit out? Are you serious? We can't figure out how to get a handle on a lot of autoimmune diseases? What about all the mystery illnesses that nobody talks about? I mean, we've made such a big run at cancer. There's other devastating things going on to people on the planet. Okay, and I'll get off my soapbox on that because I could stay on medical forever. And the mental health system is ignored. They shut down mental health asylums and there's no place for them to go. Oh my goodness, my nose itching. Somebody must be talking about me again. What's new? Here we go. So, this is what I hope that we can affect, is talking about health as a whole, healthy systems, healthy government, healthy people, healthy families. Healthy families, healthy family lives, healthy thought lives, healthy spiritual lives, healthy heart life, healthy soul life. We need to change the dynamic. We need to turn the steam engine around. We have to start with the children. We have to. We have to have parents parenting and childrening. And we've got to start that boundary there. That's all I got. Thank you for tuning in. If you want to comment, please do. And I will catch you on the flip flop. Have a good night. Bye-bye.